Hello everybody, and welcome back to an episode with Fwipp on the Blitzkraft server. I know I look a lot different than before, and in fact, there's a large Thaumcraft structure we're going to go over another day, but I thought I'd use this episode today to go over bees. If you haven't followed me on, say, every other server... Oh no, I had a Thaumcraft golem here picking up items. Oh, I see, he's gotten stuck on some of the pipes. Come on, little guy. Guess I'll just break the pipe so he doesn't get stuck. That's quite unfortunate. I'm not totally sure how golems and pipes interact correctly, but sometimes they don't. Alright, so to go over what I've been doing with these bees, I'm going to have to assume that whoever's watching this doesn't know bees, because bees can get confusing. So the first question you're probably asking is, why get into bees at all, Fwipp? Well, if you have things like extra bees involved, let's see here, I'll just type in drone. Basically, any ore or any item in the game, there will probably be some sort of bee that will make it. So, for example, you want shiny ingots, you want diamonds, you want oil. You know, there are oily bees. There are bees that can cause spiders to spawn. There are bees that can make you blind if you get close to them. There are bees that will, make an endless supply of oil. That's what I did on the last Cryptocraft server. This time around, I'm going to try and get the bees that create liquid nitrogen because there's a certain coolant system that I'd really like to have for my entire power suit armor. But that takes industrious and wintry bees, and we're a little bit far from that just yet. So to start off with, how do you get started in bees? There are two main items, I would say. Number one is the scoop, which you simply make with sticks and a piece of wool. And you're going to use that, and then you're going to find your hives throughout your world and just pick them up with the scoop. You can't use Silk Touch on hives. You need to use the scoop, okay? So be it a meadows hive, a forest hive, you're going to want like a few of every kind, right? The second thing you're going to want is an apiary. So there's two ways to get that. You can either go through forestry, get a squeezer, squeeze some seed oil, but that assumes you need power, and a lot of seeds. My version, and where I get started on bees, is I find a villager village, which usually has a beekeeping villager, and I either trade for it with, like, oak wood, or just break his apiaries and bring them here. That's what I've done. All of these came from villager villages. I should really get a seed oil thing set up. So anyway, what you do after that is you take your bees. Let's see here. I'm just going to do the next step. Anyways, you mix things like meadows and forest drones together and you try to get a common bee, right? Like this one. You mix the common bee back with your forest bees. Oh yes, this is exactly what I was looking for. You mix your common bees with your regular bees again. You get the cultivated ones, those blue ones. That's what you're really going for, right? With that base, you kind of mix the cultivated drones with the common drones, right? The white and the blue ones. And then you get either the yellow noble drones, which I believe I've got in here. No, that's the unweary ones. Let's see here. Those are the valiant drones, which can randomly be found in hives. Yes, you get noble drones, or you get, I think, diligent drones, right? What I'm doing here is I'm trying to automate my bees because my goal is to just make it easier and easier to breed them. So to do that, once I get a common princess and a common drone, and I know that they're not like hybrids, and I know that by making the analyzer here and feeding it squeezed honey you just get from all combs of all kinds, right? So you squeeze up your honey, you fill up your analyzer. The analyzer, once it's full, will be able to tell you. Like, this is a diligent noble hybrid. It's a hybrid. That means there's chances of mutation. That means, it's not all that perfect. This is a perfectly diligent drone. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to head over to... Oh! Actually, I know exactly what I should do. There's one other item that you might need in bees, and I don't tend to use it very often. For the simple fact that this bee house, which you make with just any kind of comb, any kinds of slabs and planks, right, it's cheaper than the apiary. But the thing with the bee house is that not only can you not add frames, and frames make the bees produce more things, which comes up later on, but there's no chance for mutation in them, right? So what that means, like, mutations are good, right? That's how your cultivated and your common drones become other bees. Do you follow what I'm saying? You need mutations to get farther up the line. But in order to really control what's going on, what I'm going to do now is, first of all, I'm going to get some combs. And I have it automated, so I'll show you that in a minute. But anyway, the bee house, there is no chance of mutation with this device. Okay? So the reason I've got these right now is so that these diligent bees, which you noticed were diligent hybrids, and I don't want that right now because I'm trying to automate it. So I put the diligent noble hybrid and the diligent drone, and if I'm lucky, these will remain diligent bees when their lifespan is done. Right? The queens, when their lifespan is done, break in. Well, they produce combs, and then they break into one princess and then multiple drones. You only ever have one princess with bees, so it all comes down to how many hives you broke at the beginning of the game. Now, I've got tons because my friend Hannibal set up a quarry, and the quarry broke a whole bunch of cave hives, right? Okay, so let's go on to automating your bees. Now, the first step, I would say, is just making sure you've got like a pure drone and a pure princess, and you breed them enough times that the drones start stacking with each other, right? See? Now, these guys stack because they're all exactly the same, and I just keep breeding them amongst each other, and they will always create drones that will stack. So I just leave them in there, they'll produce infinity combs, and I can use those combs in the squeezer. No, in the centrifuge, right. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. So we grab like a stack of combs. I hope this tutorial is working for you. You throw them in the centrifuge, and it'll make more beeswax, which you can use for pipe waterproofing, wax capsules for things, substitute for torches. That doesn't come up that much. And casts. And what you do with the casts, let's see here. Well, you can either make specific candles. Let's see. That's also how you make the scented paneling, which comes up later to make your bees even more efficient. I don't actually know what the scented gear is for. Some things in forestry might have changed since I last did bees. But anyway, we're going to let that centrifuge up to make more honey, etc. Anyways, now that I know that these drones that I just put in that analyzer are perfect, and well, later on, there's specific bee machines you can use so that you can get your bees species serum and then turn any bee into any bee you want. You can get specific traits like making your bees be able to work at night by like, what is it called? It's either the inoculator or the synthesizer. There's some high-level machines that always draw power. And I'll show you one of the recipes, just example-wise. Right here. See, this one takes an advanced genetic machine, soul shards, diamonds, lapis. This is advanced stuff. But basically you can like get specific serums so that you can get bees that do specific things, or always have a species serum on hand. Anyways, what I'm doing right now is I'm hoping the bees kind of mutate, right? So I've got the common and the cultivated ones, and what I'm trying to do is get more diligent ones so that I can get more unweary ones, and then from the unwearies and diligence, I mix those, and then I get industrious, and then, then I'm doing great, because I've got two kind of goals, right? If I mix the industrious bee with the wintry bee, then I'm going to get the bees that make liquid nitrogen, and then I'm good. But at the same time, okay, so my system's not perfect. Sometimes it throws little combs all over the ground, and that's why I have a Thomecraft villager, or a Thomecraft golem, sorry, picking up all the things that fell on the ground, putting them into the chest. Actually, right now they're falling on the ground because it can only hold 63 bees. But with all these perfected drones, I can basically wait till I get a queen, like a diligent queen or a noble queen, and then just pair it up with whatever perfect drone I have, and I know there's a much better chance of me getting the next outcome than if I had just mixed random ones that probably aren't going to help me. Now these I'm just going to throw into this gene pool here, and they're worth more if they're analyzed first. And that'll go on for those machines later. But basically that's the whole idea here. I'm getting the perfect drones, and then I'm mixing those drones specifically with other ones to hopefully get a chance of getting the real bees that I want. It's all based on chances, so the more ways you have... Oh, there we go. I've got an ancient princess. I don't actually want an ancient princess. I think that happened... Oh, there we go. I think I get this cultivated one to get mixed with this here. I think it's starting to work. Now, I already have lots of those. So let's take this cultivated princess and figure out what we're doing. I've already got a bunch of unweary ones, so how do you get more unweary ones? Let's see here. Sometimes the analyzer needs a moment. Okay, so if I was making unweary drones, that is cultivated plus diligent, right? Okay, that makes sense. It doesn't say right now, but I need to mix unweary and diligent together. So to hopefully get an unweary princess, because I've already got that working. Do I actually have the diligent ones yet? That's another very good question. I hope I'm not, like, making this too confusing. I know bees takes a long time to breed because it's only chances that you're going to get the next one up. Oh, right, because I've got this diligent queen that's going to produce more. Alright, so whenever that bee explodes is when I can... I just say it explodes, it doesn't really. But, whenever that one is done, and hopefully I'll have a bunch more diligent bees, I can mix it with this cultivated princess here. Because that's my goal. I mean, I don't need more noble ones. I could use more majestic ones. But again, that's the noble line, because they kind of split off in two groups after you get common and cultivated. Two main groups, anyway. Because I need the royal bees and the industrious bees. The industrious bees make a specific pollen, the royal ones make royal jelly, and together those can be made into apiaries, I think? No, alvearies, right. Alveary blocks, which take a long time. See, you need this many scented panelings and an impregnated casing. The impregnated casing is made with seed oil. That's also something you need for the apiary base. The scented paneling comes from both pollen and royal jelly. The alveary is essentially a 3x3x3 apiary with wooden slabs on top that can be automated in a similar way to this. Only it always makes the bees produce max combs. You don't need to put frames in it. And there are also variations where you can create blocks that will make it so that your bees maybe produce more offspring or have a higher chance to mutate if you give it something like uranium ore. I don't have industrial craft on this one, so I'm not sure what that would be, but it's still in the game. Well, let's see here. There's also specific combs that will help you. For example, the diligent bees and the unweary bees are making stringy combs, and when those get broken down, they give me propolis. Propolis and diamond pipes is how I made these apiarists pipes. And what I have these currently doing is that I've got my autarctic gate saying, when it's missing a queen or princess, energy pulse. So as soon as these bees are done, it pulls all the bees up into the pipe. All the bees go back down into the apiary, and that's how that's automated. All the items just go right along. Right into the ender chest, which leads into the ME network. So it's kind of like a cross-mod compatibility thing going on. There's also tropical bees that I kind of want to get going on. Usually you find those in jungles. I don't think I really have any right now. Let's check my indexer, which is another thing that's made with chests. And basically it'll hold infinite bees, and you can just tell it to sort by species, and then you can easily find what you've got going on. I don't tend to use this too much because this is like all my excess queens and princesses and things. And then I use the apiarist chest, which is smaller, but I use that to hold all my specifically good bees. Like, this is an ancient princess. I need probably an ancient drone. That's, like, perfect, if possible. I don't know if this one's perfect or not. Let's get that analyzed real quick. I'm not even sure why I have ancient drones. Let's check the data bank. Yeah, the ancient line just kind of came about because I mixed diligent and nobles together. Let's see here. They produce old combs, which in fact don't really give you anything good. It's a beeline that doesn't really help me, but I guess I've got them now. And that's an ancient forest hybrid, so that's even worse. Let's just melt that down too. I'll just throw the rest of these back in there. So I guess the worst case scenario is the ancient bees go away. Rural bees are bees that they need wheat, and they also produce weedy combs, which give you free wheat, so that's kind of cool. But right now I'm just trying to get to those main lines and putting them together and using bee houses to hopefully still keep those ones alive. The pipes aren't perfect. That's why I have a Thomcraft Golem just kind of picking stuff up. In all honesty, I should probably destroy some of the ground just so he's able to walk underneath them and it doesn't get stuck on the pipes. But that would look ugly, and I'm kind of all about design. And I think this is the easiest setup until I can get those royal ones. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope this taught you a thing or two about bees and why I like it and why it's good for you. Because in essence, what you're doing is you're kind of trying to be a better apiarist by finding all the different varieties and mixing them together. For example, the heroic bee is very difficult to get. You need steadfast bees, which you in fact find in dungeon chests and can't be mixed with anything other than heroic bees. Or valiant bees, sorry. The valiant bee can sometimes be found in regular hives. It's very rare. You mix the two of them together, there's no resultant mutation, but you get combs that will give you cocoa beans, and its effect, I believe, also damages mobs, so you might want to keep them around your base. But the problem is, you'll notice here, where is it? Resultant mutations. Yeah, there's a current 0% chance because you need to be in a forest biome. That was the other thing about bees. They, depending on which ones you have, will do better or worse in certain biomes. For example, the marshy bee only really works in swamps because it needs a damp environment. You'll notice that, let's see, after the bees are analyzed, they have things like, let's see, I need to analyze this one still. Anyways, they'll have different traits. See, like, temperature normal slash none, humidity normal slash none. What that means is basically any regular biome they can survive in, and any differences in temperature or humidity they're going to have a problem with. Some of them will say something like down 2 or up 1, which means they may need it to be hotter or colder or whatever. And that's incredibly important because, for example, if you have desert bees, they need a very dry and hot environment, and so it'll be harder for you to mix those bees with your other bees. There's a device that I have over here, the acclimatizer, and what you do is it needs power, and it needs, what is it, cans, either lava cans, water cans, or sand or ice to slowly edit the bees' natural tendencies. But it'll be a lot easier on yourself if you can find yourself in a biome that's like natural-ish. Like right now we're in a lavender field. I used to live in a Sahara on the other server, and that counted as like a desert-like environment, so my meadow bees and my forest bees couldn't work. So what I need to do was go onto the beach, which was right next to the Sahara, or go over into the ocean, which for some reason didn't count as being too damp. But anyway, because I was on the beach, it was like a regular biome, and I could get my bees to mix with each other quite well. To begin with, I'd suggest getting forest and meadows bees and mixing those up. Marshy bees don't tend to be too difficult until they start needing damp environments. That's why I had some marshy queens in the indexer that didn't work out. because I put them in the apiary, it would say that it didn't have the right environment. Where did I put those? I might have put them in this chest. Yeah, right here. I'll just analyze those for the sake of argument so you'll see what I was talking about. Oh, there's a cultivated noble hybrid anyway. Hopefully that won't be an issue. I'll take one of the perfectly cultivated drones and just put that together again and hopefully weed out that little hybridization. And these common bees and cultivated bees. Yes! Oh, I just got a majestic drone from these ones. I'm going to put these together. That's perfect. I need to get this analyzed too, because I had one. See right there, humidity. It needs a damp environment, so this bee will not work here. Unless I either weed the humidity out of it or move into a different biome. Which, on the Blitzkraft server is a problem, because I can't just go into another biome. The enemy team will destroy me. We're kind of like relegated to different biomes. But anyway, I think that all makes sense. It makes sense to me. I hope it makes sense to you. If you've got any questions about bees, please let me know. I am not an expert, but I have played around with bees on basically 3 out of 4 Feed the Beast servers. I don't know how the magic bees work, honestly. It's a really nice addition with Thomecraft. If I look up, say, the Apimancy tab, you get things like a Thomium Scoop, which might never break if you give it repair. You've got special frames, which, if you research them, will cause your bees to, like, live less, which means quicker mutations, right? You can make them live longer, which means more products. Basically, there's different ways to edit what your bees can do for you, based on the base stuff. Majestic cultivated hybrid, okay. And I currently also have just a majestic noble hybrid. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab another apiary and do this exact same setup after I make sure that this majestic queen and this majestic drone will in fact not kill themselves and will instead stay majestic. Oh, by the way, another reason why you might want to do bees is you start getting some rare trees like lime saplings. If you've got some trees like spruce and birch, just by the bees working, they'll slowly start changing the leaves of the trees to like other ones, right? And that's how you can unlock different tree breeding. There's also something else that I've noticed, but I have no idea how it works yet, which is while the bees are working, sometimes I'll notice like actual butterflies flying around, and I don't know how to do butterflies. It seems amazing, and I really want to learn how. I'm just going to quickly go to bed now so that the bees can keep working. These particular ones, except for the rocky ones, can't work at night. That might be why you might need to, I think, get yourself an inoculator, something like that, to make all your bees work at night, possibly. Let's see here. No, that's not right. Let me look that up. Inoculator. Maybe it's only one O. There it is, the inoculator. Ah, yes, empty serums, which are made with royal jelly. That's why I'm not doing it yet, because I still would need the royal bees to get into the whole genetic aspect of bees, which is extremely interesting. You can pull specific bees. For example, there is a bee that's only been able to be cultivated during holidays. And the only special trait that it does is while it's working away in the hive, it produces fireworks. So if you can pull the firework trait out of that bee, you can put it into other bees and just have fireworks all over the place if you want. You can kind of see why, like, having bees that might, cause zombies to spawn, or deal damage to mobs, or give you experience all around your base can be really cool. Especially if you can pull those traits out of the bees with those later game machines, and then just have that in all your regular bees while they're working. Right? It's complicated, it takes a little bit of time, some diamonds, some gold, some redstone, but even though I've got all those resources, I still need to get to the royal bees. But I'm getting there. See what I mean? It takes a while. I'm going to make a few more bee houses just because I like this idea of there not being a chance for mutation. So I've got a bigger chance of these just remaining exactly what I want them to be. No pun intended. Maybe I'll make 2 of these because now I'm getting into the point where I really need there to be specific things. And why I'm doing this for every thing, like every group that I can, like common bees, cultivated bees, noble bees, unweary bees, you might be thinking, Fwipp, why on earth are you putting them all automated, right? You don't really need these unweary ones, do you? Because later on, there might be a pairing that I'm going to need unweary bees for. And instead of, being able to pull out the serum from various bees, which there's only a chance of doing that later on, so just having a whole bunch of drones is also important. Well, let's just say for whatever mutations I want to have, which honestly I'm going to Google it. I'm going to need to Google it because there's so many different ones. Maybe I need to mix a noble bee with a rocky bee, and then I'll get a bee that makes copper ingots. And then, well, copper dust. It'll take a while. But from there, I can build like auto crafting tables and the factorization router to really automate it. And then we've got a great machine in the works. So that's my B plan. Maybe next episode I'll tell you all about the Thumbcraft device I have over here, which is extremely confusing, even to me. But thanks for watching. This is Fwipp signing out. Hope you enjoyed my bee explanation. Again, any questions? I'll do my best. See you later.